This is Beer in Front, part of the Odd Pods Media Network and Beer Media Group. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. Every week I'll talk to various people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to episode 229 of Beer in Front. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a proud Odd Pods Media Network member and charter member of the Beer Media Group. I wasn't going to do a show this week. I came down with COVID. Saturday night, wasn't feeling that good. Sunday morning, did the swab and rolled 2 lines. So here I am, not feeling good at all. My voice sounds a little off, so I apologize. But I saw that it was National Black Brewers Day today. The episode drops on the 10th. So I wanted to do a quick episode on that. If you heard the show a couple weeks ago with Shalonda White, Afro Beer Chick, we were talking about getting more people involved in brewing. So when I saw this National Black Brewers Day, I'm here to talk about that and talk about some news of the week. I also talked to the executive director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, Ray Stout. Governor Pritzker of Illinois had a formal declaration. So if you're listening to this the day this episode drops, October 10th, today is official Illinois Black Brewers Day here. So we talked about that, talked about some great breweries here in the state. I'm going to have one a little later in the show from Moor's and from Funkytown. Those are 2 great breweries operating in the state of Illinois. I like everything that I've had from them, so I'm excited to have those. The Dayquil's kicking in, so I'm feeling wired right now. So let's start the show. We all know a couple weeks ago, Hurricane Helene devastated the Asheville community, other parts of the country as well. A couple weeks ago, I had on the folks from Riverbend Malt House in Asheville. Luckily, they're fine. I know they were without power for a while, but that whole area has been just devastated. The North Carolina Craft Brewers Guild has started a new program called Pouring for Neighbors. It's Western North Carolina Hurricane Relief, where there's a ton of participating breweries. Some in Illinois are Brother Chimp, Midwest Coast, Noon Whistle, and Route 66 Old School. They're $1 a pint. So you go to one of those breweries, you grab a pint of whichever beer they're designating, and $1 of every pint goes to Western North Carolina Relief, Hurricane Relief. So you could check it out. I'm going to include the link in the show notes. There's also a place there where you could donate, which I did, so you could help out the fine people in Western North Carolina. A lot of great breweries there. I've seen reports on the news that a lot of breweries, were just closed down. I mean, they were just devastated by the flooding and the hurricane. My cousin lives there. I mentioned on the show a couple weeks ago, luckily she bailed and got out of town and went to go visit another cousin in Alabama. So my heart breaks for these people. But if you could help, you got to check out the North Carolina Craft Brewers Guild and, give what you can. In beer and beverage news, sad news out of St. Louis, where Earthbound, they're going to cease distribution soon, and they're going to close their tap room on the 8th of December. Up until that point, their regular hours will continue. But the things that I've had from Earthbound have been really good, so that's sad news out of St. Louis. Wrangler, the jeans company, and Molson Coors are teaming up where you can get beer wash jeans. So these are Wrangler jeans that have been washed with Coors Banquet beer. So, we've all spilt beer on our jeans, but these were actually washed in beer. You could enter to win a contest between the 11th and 21st of October. You could head over to beerwashjeans.com for more info. Allagash has announced a new year-round lineup for 2025. This is going to include a hazy IPA, a hop water, which I'm looking forward to, and also a lager, which you're going to hear more about another brewery in a second. But it's cool to see these craft companies coming out with lagers. The lager looks pretty cool from the can, just looks like a classic lager. So look for that from Allagash next year. Stone, their lineup for 2025, they're going to cut some brands that don't perform as well. They're also going to have a Pilsner that's going to be out nationwide, so look for that. But they're going to, like their Enjoy By series, which has been around for probably 10, 12 years now, that's only going to be available in the San Diego and Los Angeles market, and some others that are just going to be there. So nationally, they're paring back. They're just going to go with their core beers that do well. Goose Island out of Chicago has come up with a couple new news items that I'm stoked about. One is the return in cans of Honkers Ale. That was the beer in Chicago that started the craft beer movement here. You could always get a Honkers up until 5-6 years ago, maybe. You could still find it at your Jewels or whatever. Every time I would go to Goose Island, whether it was at their old Clybourne location or the one on Fulton, they would have it on draft, and I would always get it because it was still a great beer. But now it's going to be back in Chicago in cans. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to trying Honkers Ale again. And finally, from Goose Island, they're coming out with a new variant of their Bourbon County brand stout. It's only going to be available, I think, on their rare day, which is the 16th of November. It looks phenomenal. It's called Ray Stout. It's aged twice in barrels. It looks really good. I know there's a lot of buzz about this already on social media, so I guess you need to get yourself a ticket to Rare Day to try some of this, but it looks really good. All right, welcome back. Illinois Governor JB Pritzker has issued a proclamation recognizing today, Thursday, October 10th, is National Black Brewers Day. If you listened to last week's episode when I was talking to Afro beer chick Shalonda White, we were just talking about how the African-American community is underrepresented across America. So this was fantastic to see from the state. I'd like to welcome back permanent guest, Ray Stout, the executive director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, to talk about this historic day. Ray, how's it going this morning?
Oh, I'm happy to be a permanent guest, and I'm super excited to talk about this.
Yeah, the key's under the mat, so you could just come right in. You'll just have to bring a treat for the dog, but, you're welcome anytime.
I could do that for you,
yeah.
And the dog.
Oh, this is such a well-deserved day. How did this proclamation from the governor come about?
That's a great question. And so, recently we met with the National Black Brewers Association. So I helped convene a meeting between that group and all the guilds around the country. And, with the understanding that, only 1% of breweries in the United States are owned by African Americans, which is an astoundingly low number. And so, we're doing a little bit better here in Illinois. We're somewhere almost 2%, but still far from good, right? And so, we reached out to the National Black Brewers Association with the idea of what can we do to kind of help promote this mission. And, they put the earwig out in our ear that they're working on a national campaign to bring National Black Brewers Day to the federal level and going state by state. And so we took that and ran with it. So we reached out to the governor's office right away, reached out to our members in the African-American community right away and said, this is something we're interested in working on. Got buy-in from those members that, I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit. And, 2 weeks later, we had a proclamation in hand naming October 10th National Black Brewers Day here in the state of Illinois.
We talked last year, I believe, about the Illinois Diversity in Brewing Scholarship that the Guild has provided for groups that are underrepresented. That is so important for people who want to get into brewing to have a Siebel Institute or World Brewing Academy education behind them. The Guild has been doing this for what, like 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah, we're going on our 4th year of our diversity in brewing scholarship. And, every year we offer 2 scholarships, one a more senior level, one a more entry level in partnership with the Siebel Institute to, underrepresented groups. And whether that's, African Americans, female, racial equity, diversity, gender diversity, these are all things that we're looking at, trying to grow the pie, because, when everybody wins and this industry grows, everybody wins and this industry grows.
Absolutely. Yeah. Rising tide lifts all boats. And, when I was talking last week with Shalonda, we were talking like, yeah, I want to experience beers from different brewers. And it just opens up a whole new world of taste and beer and everything else. So this is so cool that the Guild has been doing this.
Yeah, no, I think it's super cool that Guild is doing this, and I'm happy to help lead this effort. One thing I noticed is that, we want people to feel comfortable walking into any environment, right? And so, if we're going to continue to grow the craft beer industry here in the state of Illinois, we need to reach out to groups that traditionally haven't, jumped into the craft beer community as far as other groups. And so, one of the ideas before I reached out to the National Black Brewers Association, I was watching the Olympics, right? And so Simone Biles got hurt. And, what they did with Simone Biles, they wrapped up her leg. Well, they wrapped up her leg in an ace bandage that was the color of her skin, not the color of my skin. And, that got me thinking about entry points and feeling comfortable and, getting more people into this community that foster diversity. Because you need to look at somebody else in this community to get into it, right? And so the more folks of color that we have represented in this industry, the more women we have in this industry, the more LGBTQ plus people we have in this industry, the more kind of the next generation of entrepreneurs are going to grow up and say, hey, I could do that. I want to be that.
Exactly. Now, in addition to education, funding is also vital, not just for the brewing industry, but really any person that wants to start out in small business. Have you noticed it being easier for like these scholarship recipients to have access to financial backing for future projects they might have?
I think more and more organizations like ours are leading the way in creating pathways for access to funds. And so, recently we just started the Illinois the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild Education Foundation, focused on, expanding our scholarship offerings and education to the brewing community. And people are realizing that, we need to provide entry points. And so, a few months ago, Funkytown and the Black Beer Baron did a collaboration of a beer called Who the Hell Has Left the Gate Open, right? And they were talking about entry points into this industry. And so we're finding more organizations like ours are being intentional about creating those spaces. And, the way that we're able to do it is by folks that listen to your podcast come to our beer festivals, right? We raise money through FOBAT. We raise money through Beer Under Glass and some other festivals throughout the year. And this is how we could help support this good work and help continue to grow this good work.
This got me thinking we should start, you and I, Ray, we should have like a Shark Tank for people that we could sample their beers and have access to funding. We could do this, Ray. We could have like a beer Shark Tank where get the money people to put the money to people that want to start out in the beer business.
I think that's exactly right. And, one thing I will flag and, on a more serious note is that, breweries like Pilot Project, who are incubators, are essentially doing that type of work, right? They're creating spaces for folks that wouldn't necessarily have the access to capital to create an entire brew house to come in and either contract brew or come in and brew their own batches with some help from very, very talented brewers to kind of help grow their brand. And, a brand like Funkytown Brewing is a perfect example of somebody who's thriving in that environment, is getting ready to take that next step.
Oh, exactly. Illinois is home to some great breweries that happen to be Black owned. Like we just talked about Funkytown. You have Turner House, Moor's, Black Horizon. Are there any other breweries coming along that you know of?
A lot of where we're seeing the biggest jump in diversity and representation is actually at the brewer level in the state of Illinois. So we're seeing a large number of folks rise through the ranks in traditional breweries, and that are looking to go out on their own. So, right now we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 14 breweries in planning in the state of Illinois. I know a few of them are owned by minority owners or partially minority owners. Homewood Brewing coming online is actually owned by a Black individual. And so, we're starting to see this growth in this industry and the trend in this growth in this industry, because we need to reach out to everybody if we want to be successful.
We talked about, Funkytown. They're doing really well. They had that thing with Sam Adams last year that was huge for them. I could pick them up at my Jewel. I could go right down the street to Jewel and pick up Funkytown, which is great for them. I mean, that's huge, especially for them getting that Sam Adams deal.
Yeah, no, that's another example of an organization holding up good work and holding up voices that are traditionally underrepresented. Moor's Brewing is another one. They have a really great contractual brewing relationship with Prost Brewing out of Colorado, who make some of the best beers in the country. And so they're set up really, really well for success. Every time I go to Black Horizon Brewing, my socks are knocked off with how great the quality of beer is. And, Turner House, which we're going to be on, October 10th, Blair Turner, who was a co-owner there, was one of the winners of our diversity in brewing scholarships. So the proof is in the pudding here that, when you put the good work in, good things happen.
Yeah. And you mentioned, the thing that's going on the 10th at Turner House. So this is in Chicago's Bronzeville neighborhood. Turner House is located at 78 East 47th Street. The celebration's going to start at 5:00. So if you're in the neighborhood, you got to check that out. What can people expect if they go to Turner House?
Yeah, what we're planning on having there is, number one, the proclamation will be live and in person, which is pretty cool. But number two, it's going to be a showcase of all these Black-owned beer brands that we just talked about. So it's an opportunity to support Black businesses. It's an opportunity to support diversity in this industry, and it's an opportunity to kind of give back to organizations that are doing the right thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if I mentioned it before, but another one I really like is Harold's 83 Honey. I think, aren't they put out with...
They come through Haymarket.
Haymarket, yeah, I know. I knew they were put out like through Haymarket, but that's a beer that I've really enjoyed, when I see it. I don't see it all the time, but like where I go to Bottles and Cans on Lincoln, I do see it there. Whenever I see that one, I always grab Harold's 83 Honey, because that one's really good too.
That's another great collaboration between Sam Ross, who works at Goose Island, and Jay Westbrook, who is another winner of our Diversity and Brewing Scholarship, also goes by the name of the Black Beer Baron. He kind of does a nomadic brewing style, which, he goes from brewery to brewery, kind of coming up with these interesting recipes, very rooted in African-American culture, and always very, very delicious. So they'll be there too.
Excellent. Well, once again, if you're listening to it, this episode comes out on October the 10th. So it's National Black Brewers Day. If you're around, if you're in the Bronzeville neighborhood, or just get in the car, go to Turner House in Bronzeville. That's going to start at 5:00. So definitely check that out. Ray, thanks so much for coming on again today. I'll hit end on this and we'll talk more about our Jets.
Well, thanks so much for inviting me on. And, this is such a cool partnership that we've been able to develop with the Siebel Institute. That's really doing an awesome job holding up all sorts of different voices.
All right. Well, thanks again, Ray.
Awesome. Thanks again.
We interrupt this program to bring you a news flash.
Michael Jackson's ghost seen at a Yankees game.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, now with a shrimp in every bite.
Lil Uzi Vert's head diamond has been sold on the dark web.
Stories like this and more can be found at the Ever Trending Story, a podcast where we peruse the news and write a fun fictional story for you.
Find us wherever you download podcasts and follow us on the socials at Ever Trending Pod, and we are proud members of the Odd Pods Media Network.
All right, I wanted to have a couple beers from Black-owned breweries this week. So first up is one from Moor's Brewing in Chicago, Illinois. This is their Pilsner. It's a 6%. I've had stuff from Moor's before. I'm not positive if I've had the Pilsner or not, but I know that the stuff I've had from them, I really liked. I think they do a Baltic Porter, if I'm not mistaken, and that's one I definitely need to find and put in my cart because I'm a huge fan of Baltic Porters. But let's crack open this Pilsner from Moor's. Really nice light color, good foam here, good carbonation. It smells really good, but to be honest, I have COVID this week, so the aroma could be a little off, but what I am getting, I'm enjoying so far. I do think the smell is good. I like it. It's got a nice, clean taste to it. A lot of sweetness I'm getting here. I'm getting more like malt sweetness and stuff, which I think is really good. I think this is a really good beer. Yeah, that's definitely good. I'm really liking this one. I said before, it's 6% alcohol. I would drink this all the time. I think this is a really good Pilsner. I'm really liking the flavor profile that I'm getting here. I like the sweetness that I'm getting from this. It's a good beer. Yeah, that's a winner. If you see it from Moor's, you got to put it in the cart. You could pick it up all over the Chicagoland area. I picked it up in my local bottle shop here, Bottles and Cans. They had this one. So Moor's is a great brewery. I like what they put out. If you see anything from Moor's, especially this Pilsner, you got to put it in the cart. All right, the next beer I'm going to have on National Black Brewers Day is from Funkytown. This is Homecoming Celebration Ale. I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago or a month ago or so on the show, but I remember I really enjoyed it and I wanted to have it again, so I picked this one up. It's an ale, but they use traditional German hops here, so let's crack open the Funkytown. Celebration Ale has a nice, it's a wonderful color. Kind of reminds me, looking at it, of a nice Vienna lager. It's got that nice dark color, good foam here, good couple fingers of foam. Once again, I have COVID this week, so my smell is not the best, but what I'm getting off of the aroma, I think smells good. I get some nice sweetness from the malt out of the aroma, but I really am digging this, and I'm going to have to grab some more in a week or so when I'm 100%. But definitely the aroma's good. That's excellent. That is so good. A lot of malt character that I'm getting from the taste. Little bit of the hops at the end. There's a little bitterness there, not a lot, but this is phenomenal. Definitely, I don't know if this is going to be like a year-round release. I hope so. This is something that I will have in my fridge at all times. This is just phenomenal. I love the flavor here. Good. I'm kind of getting like a toffee-like feel from the malt. So you get some sweetness there, some toffee flavors. This is just excellent. Yeah, that's a great beer. This is absolutely phenomenal. 5.5%, good ABV on here. You could have a couple of these. You're not going to be hammered. This is just an absolute phenomenal beer. If you see Homecoming Celebration Ale from Funkytown, you have to put it in the cart. It's a absolute phenomenal beer. I'm going to have some more. I'm going to keep rolling here. I know I'm 3 minutes into this segment, but I'm going to keep going. That's how good this beer is. Yeah, definitely my taste buds are picking up toffee. I get some hop flavorings there towards the end, the back of my tongue. This is an absolute great, great beer. So if you see Homecoming Celebration Ale from Funkytown, you need to put this one in don't put all of them in the cart. Save some for me. but this is a great beer. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening. If you need to get a hold of me, you can email me, dave@beerinfront.com. You can find me on all the social media channels. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/beerinfront. Once again, I want to thank Ray Stout, the executive director of the Illinois Craft Brewers Guild, for coming on and talking about National Black Brewers Day. Have a good week, everyone. Remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet.